Hi there, a very good morning and good afternoon to all of you, depending on wherever you're watching this. Here with another video, and this is the first finance video. As I mentioned, I promised that on every Sunday I'll talk about personal finance, I'll talk about finances. And today is a very interesting topic that I begin with, and this is about retirement planning. And there is a lot of things going on over the last 4 years, especially after the boom we have seen past the pandemic on the stock market, on Bitcoin, on cryptocurrencies, and elsewhere in all asset classes, even real estate, that people are looking to retire and retire early. So, why are most of the people having, you can say, anxiety even after financial security in retirement? That is what I'm going to discuss 9, 10 key reasons with supporting insights as to why people feel that okay, they don't have enough. Basically, why do they think that even if they have a huge corpus with them, that they do not want to retire? They have a fear that their amount would be insufficient to sustain over a period of time. So we'll discuss about all those factors and how much is enough. I'll just put that to rest in just about 2 minutes as to how much is enough for a person here in India. We'll discuss about that. So let's get started. First of all, disclaimer, this is not a stock recommendation. I am not a financial advisor. I am not a financial analyst, or you can say an analyst for personal finance as well. Not a member of the NSC and BSc. And all discussions that I have is purely through my experience into the markets and into this financial journey over the last 12, 13 years. So do consult your financial advisor before taking any call. Let's just dig into it as to how much is enough. So a corpus, in my opinion, is if you are in India, so there's a concept of how much is enough, or a fire concept for people living in United States, which if you have about whatever amount you have, if you take out 4% of your invested amount, and then you're living fine, growing, then that is enough. But the concept in India changes because there is a lot of inflation, there is a lot of factors that you have to take in: marriages, child marriages. You have children who will get married over a 10, 15 year period. After 15 year, 20 year, then you have you don't have a social security. So there's a lot of factors that kick in. Eventually, I have read a lot of books, I have gone through a lot of websites, analyzed even my plan with respect to investments and how things will go about if you are in your 20s, 30s, 40s. On a broader basis, what I have come up with is this: that a corpus of at least 30 times of your annual expense, if you are in a tier 3 city, if you are in a city where expenses are not that huge, and if you are either, so there are two factors in here: either you are in a tier 3 city, in a city where the expenses are not big, or your expenses are not that huge, then 30 times is good enough. Your inflation will not be 15% in, as in many cases, 10, 12, 15%. Your inflation factor could be 7, 8, 9%. In that case, probably 30 times of your annual income could be, annual expenses actually would be enough. So if you are spending say 10 lakh rupees a year on your annual expenses, and you have 3 crores with you at the moment, 3 crores not in say a house or in any hard asset, but 3 crores in cash or investments, or in liquid investments, short term savings accounts, etc., then I think that is enough for you to retire immediately. Put that amount into any factor like FDs, etc., and probably investments. And there are other things. If you want, I can make videos on the same as to how to manage that amount. But I think around 3 crores would be enough. A corpus of at least 50 times if in a tier 1 cities of your, or your expenses are higher, and you're living say in a in a city like Bangalore, or in suburban Delhi, or in Mumbai, etc., you need 50 times of your annual expenses. So that comes out to be, if your annual expense today is around 10 lakh rupees, let's say, for a family of 4, you're spending around 80,000 a month, 80, 85,000 a month. uh, which I feel is on the lower end. But let's say, okay, 1 lakh a month you're spending, then you will require around 12 lakh, that is for the year. Then you'll require 6 crores as a corpus to probably retire. And if you have 6 crores, even with people having 6 year in their either bank accounts or in their investments, etc., they feel a little naive, and they think that probably that is not enough. Now, why we are coming with this 30 times 50 times kind of numbers is for a fact that if you are going to live for say 90 years, 95 years in a time frame, and suppose you reach this 6 year figure by the age of 40, say around 40 that you reach 6 year, then over the next 50 years you're going to spend more or less in the vicinity of this amount that you're having. So even if that doesn't grow, people who still have enough, say 6 year and all, and even if, as I mentioned just now, that if you have 6 year, you put it into an investment, say a nifty 50, and you are earning say even 9-10% yearly, you're getting around 60 lakh yearly, 50-60 lakh, and your initial corpus remain the same. So even if you're taking out and you're spending 12 lakh rupees, as I mentioned, so the mumbo jumbo of the numbers sets you free from any kind of job, although you want to do some sort of work to keep you active. But eventually with the 6 year package, I believe 6 year in your account, I believe that that would be enough for you to retire. The biggest factor in here is the inflation. Inflation is the biggest factor in cases of say when you get into medical expenses, that's around 14%, 15%. The inflation goes up to. For education, it's around 10 to 12%. If you have kids who are getting into say higher grades or into colleges later on, then that inflation goes up to 12%, 11, 12%. And even food inflation is not just 5-6%, it's beyond that. And lifestyle inflation, if you're traveling, etc., or maintaining a slightly higher standard of lifestyle, uh, so products like cars, etc., would cost you. The inflation is between 10 to 15% again. So that's why I've taken that into account. So retirement does not mean doing nothing, merely it means, in my opinion, that you do what you like. You don't have the burden of probably waking up at 6 a.m. and getting to office, or reaching office by 9 a.m., leaving house by 8 a.m., traveling or every day for 1 hour on one side and 1 hour coming back again, and you come back by 7 8 p.m. So you're basically working 12 hours a day. If you combine everything from your going out from your home to reaching your home, it's around 12 hours, in many cases 13 hours a day. So you're not doing that, you're doing what you like. Probably you're an influencer, you're a YouTube creator, you are a gardener, you like doing something else, you're doing that, painting and selling paintings, etc., whatever. That is, in my opinion, is what retirement is, rather than doing nothing and just sitting at home. That will only make you ill over a period of time. Now let's come to, now that we have discussed about as to where we should be in terms of liquid money uh, in order to retire, let's get to factors where people, even though they have enough, say between 4 to 6 year they have currently, and yet they are very hesitant to leave everything and retire, and probably do what they like and spend more time with their family. They don't do that. Why they don't do that? I have made some pointers in here, 7 8 pointers, so we'll discuss about that. So the number one in here is loss of identity or purpose. So work provides a sense of purpose to everybody. Probably you have a timeline towards doing everything. You like doing things on time, and probably going to work and working, probably reaching that goal that is with you, or probably becoming a director, and having some position and having title, a sense of worth is with you there, rather than probably losing whole identity because you're not working. Then when you're talking to other people, or when you're conversing with your friends who are working and probably graduating, or getting promotions to higher levels, you will feel a little inferior. So feeling invisible or irrelevant is the biggest factor when people do not feel like retiring if they have reached to a certain level. So if you have such kind of corpus, you might have become a top level manager in a reputed MNC, and then you don't want to get out of that sort of lifestyle. So difficulty replacing career driven goals with something else, as to what will I do. Okay, I have enough money, I'll sit at home, but later on what will I do, what what should be my daily routine, etc. Second is fear of health decline, worry about chronic illnesses, concerns over physical limitations, anxiety about being a burden to others if you fell ill. So, people who are more lazy in their lifestyle, who are more towards enjoying their life rather than working on their fitness over that period of time, say between 20 to 35, if you have enough money by 35, 40, if you're lucky. Over that 20-year period, you have not worked on your health, then you have health issues that you feel that would crop up later on. So it's better for me to work more, because then I'll have more funds. If something goes bad, I'll be having more funds. Again, that comes down to financial literacy. If you have financial literacy, if you know how to manage that funds with respect to having a emergency fund for your health, having an emergency fund for your child's marriage, having an emergency fund for your other retirement goals like travel, etc., then you will not feel that anxiety completely. If you have a very good health insurance plan. I know that health insurance is not foolproof here in India. There are many issues that happens with when you really go for the claims are declined or partially given. But if you have a decent health insurance, even if you get 70-80% of the claim that you put in, you won't be spending that much. So if you are having 5-6 ER, eventually that would also cover many of your expenses. So little financial literacy or less of it may also cause this, but this is exactly what happens. Third in this list is uncertainty about the future. So you may think here in India that okay, India is growing very well, but there are many factors that are cropping up. We have certain border issues. We have our neighbors which are not amicable with respect to political scenario and economic scenario as there is in say Scandinavian countries or in other parts of the world. So you will feel that economic downturns or inflation fears, again as I mentioned, if you have not analyzed your expenses etc with respect to each factor of inflation, as I mentioned here, then you will have that fear. Changing tax regime, and taxes do change here in India quite a lot, and that is also a factor where people think that they might not be having enough, and the government may take more out of them later on if they are not working. Eventually, inflation will take everything out. So fear of outliving savings is extremely. This is a huge factor when people think of retiring, and they just take that thing back because they believe that they don't have enough. And that's why I just set things right by saying that if you have 6 ER corpus with you and not withstanding your house, apart from that, if you have 6 year, I think it is good enough in here. And if you have any doubts on that, you can send me queries. You can become a member with me on Patreon and on WhatsApp, and we can discuss one on it. Again, I would like to mention I am not a you can say official financial advisor, but yes, with that 6 year we can do a lot of things with which you would feel comfortable that okay, that might be enough, depending on how your condition and family status and number of children etc, where the children are going, how old they are, all those factors taken in on a rough basis. I would say if you are spending 10 to 12 lakh a year, again I mentioned 6 year is good enough. So when you don't have that figure in mind, or when you are not very certain about those figures and inflations and all the numbers, then you have the fear of outliving your savings, limited earning potential if needed again. Then what will I do if something really goes bad? Will I be able to earn again that much? That is also a fear that crops up. Lack of daily structure, as I mentioned, that people who are probably not that punctual enough, that okay, they would require an office, they would require their boss to probably structure their daily or monthly routine with respect to work. They don't know then, probably if they are in house, because if they're going back to home and they're living probably 24 hours at home, or in a environment which is outside office altogether, and you're not going to office, how will you structure your life? You don't know, so you have a fear as to how will you live. Then you would probably have you would probably lose your friends at office. You would probably lose a purpose altogether, and then the daily structure would come to the factor that you're spending more time on TV, spending more time on other things, and probably having irregular sleep because you don't have a gun on your head probably to wake up at 6 a.m., 7 a.m. So you're spending more time late at night, etc. So that also creeps in. A relationship shifts. More time at home may cause friction with your spouse, with your family, because you have not spent that much time. And eventually when you are at home, then there are the things that crop up. And being somebody who's married, who have kids, may understand, they would concur that there are a lot of things that you would need to then do at home, help your spouse in a number of things. If that happens, that you are at home, that happens eventually, gradually, and that might not be the right thing for you. If you are a person who believe that in terms of retirement you would require that you think that you would end up having a very cozy, comfortable life without doing anything, I think it's better to probably spend time with your family, help them out, etc. And again, feeling less socially useful is another thing, that you are not going out that much because your friend circle is no more the same as it was, say, 6 months, a year back. So you feel that after 1 or 2 years you might be not in touch with all the friends that you're having, and that would be a huge issue. And I have faced that, so it's not that I have not gone through it. My work is mostly into investments, mostly into making these videos, etc., and I'm not working per se in an office. And so that happens that you lose, sometimes you lose focus altogether of your life, completely of your routine. Sometimes that happens that you probably yearn for friends, more friends, and whatever you had during when you're working, that you had a huge circle, etc. But eventually you settle down. This is a more comfortable life. You need to believe that if you want comfort at one end, then you would have to lose something. You would have to give up something to probably achieve something. It's not that you'll have the best of both worlds, etc. So difficulty making new social connections is another issue, that now you don't have your friends at office. Now you have to make social connections with either your neighbors, or going out with some other friends, or some other people who have probably retired early, and you might have met here and there, and you might not be that comfortable making new friends at the age of 35, 40. Existential anxiety, facing mortality more directly, because now you feel that okay, my work period is over, and that is exactly where I believe that people should be doing something. As I love making videos on finance, on stocks. I love reading about companies and doing all these things. That's why I left job and I have gone into this phase of being financial free. Not quite completely financial free, but financially free, but going to that path. And I would like to be that, because I love doing something else. So basically, if you want to leave your job, you need to understand that you have 24 hours with you. Say 8 9 hours goes to sleep, then you have around 15 hours, 14 hours with you, where you would have to spend it in a more productive manner somewhere. And if you are not aligned with that, then I think you should be continuing with your job, because you are at a decent level. That's why you're thinking of retiring. So I think you should then continue. But if you feel that you can do something else which is much better and more comforting for you, for your health, for your family, etc., and you would be more happy doing that all through your throughout your life, then you should be doing that. As I am more comfortable doing trading, investment into stocks, reading about it, watching about financial aspects. I love doing that 24 hours. If somebody gives me a laptop and gives me all the time in the world to just read it, and I have the restriction of only watching, reading, writing about finances and financial aspects or global markets, etc., something related to finance, I'll just continue to do that. So if you have that kind of passion, only then you get into this phase of leaving your job completely. Otherwise you will have fear of running out of time. You have questioning life's meaning or legacy, because your whole aim when you started a job and you're into a job for 15, 20 years, your whole aim was to probably become a director, probably have that income of a seven figure, eight figure income, probably having that job abroad later on after toiling in India, etc. And so that purpose is gone or have been achieved, then later on it will be extremely difficult for you to probably have a purpose. So at least have a purpose in your life. Do not just think that okay, retirement means that I'll leave everything and will not do anything. That is the biggest, you can say, fallacy people can have with respect to retirement. Guilt over privilege, sometimes that happens, although it's extremely rare, but that happens, that you would feel that undeserving of the comfort. Okay, I'm very comfortable in here, my money is making money for me through investments, and I have no fear with respect to losing out on money, or probably drying up my retirement corpus. Then you would feel that okay, why is that happening, or I am the only one that is privileged, etc. So that happens, but that happens rarely. Fear of boredom, as I said, wasted time, because you don't have any other purpose except excelling in at your job. Then this fear comes in, anxiety about doing enough with retirement, struggling to find passion projects. As I mentioned, you should be having some passion in order to retire, so that you spend time with that and enjoy your life. Basically, one needs to understand that money gives you freedom. Money is not everything, it gives you freedom to do whatever you want. Now if you don't have a purpose in your life after your retirement, or you don't know as to how I will live happily after retirement, then you should not be going to that. Probably what you can do is you should be working in the same sector, in the same industry, at a slightly, you can say, more casual level. Keep on working and have that funds with you. Probably that is an option, if you're okay with that, if you understand. But if you are thinking that okay, now I'm retiring, I don't want to do this job, because you have been caught up with a project that is extremely tedious, or you're caught up with a boss that you're not able to engage with, and you just completely leave everything, then that there is a problem, because you have not finalized, or you have not accounted for the 30-40 years that you're going to spend at home. Perfectionism or control issues, need to plan everything in detail, resistance to change or spontaneity, over analyzing financial decisions. So, suppose you are retiring and you have the corpus, again, I come back to that, and now you are probably, you have the funds to probably enjoy your life, move to some other place and live apart from here, and you would suppose dearly love to live in Europe, and you have the funds to live in Europe, yet you are just over analyzing and procrastinating on it, and you're not doing that, and you're not happy here in India. Then that is an issue, because you don't want to go back to your job, and you're not living your life to the fullest here, to the brim here, and you don't want to go abroad because you feel that you don't have enough, although you do have enough, etc. Micromanaging family or projects at home, that is also an issue. So that's why it's important to probably, if the home or the house things or house chores are taken care of by your family, your mother, your wife, etc., and your expenses are taken care of, you don't need to needle or muddle into all those things. You just have to enjoy your life and make others comfortable with you at home. So that is a this is a short video that I have made on a retirement. Do let me know in the comment box what you feel about it. What are the other factors that I might have missed out? What do you want to know more about the retirement thing, and for this fire thing, and I'll make videos continuously on it, because I am also trying to get into that journey over the next probably 4, 5, 6 years. I'm beyond 40. So again, if you are more than 30, 35 years of age, then also do write that if you want to retire early and etc. What are your plans? And so I'll definitely make videos if you have any queries. Please do subscribe to my channel. Low subscription is in here. Do subscribe and hit the like button as well. Thank you.